I'm going to finish this little mini series on bar chords with the A major bar chord shape, for the reason that it might be the most challenging one of them all. It depends, maybe it's not for you, but I think I found for most people that it is. Now we're going to start having a look at the actual A major chord, your normal root position A major chord. Before we get started, then we can see how we're going to adapt that into a bar chord. Now the funny thing with the A major chord is I've seen it a few different fingerings for it in various chord books and chord sheets, so there's a few different ways you can approach it. There often is with chords, but with the A major chord in particular, I've seen 3 or 4 different ways of fingering the chord. One way of playing it is to use, we'll start with the open A string, and then I'm going to play 2nd fret on my D using my index finger, 2nd fret on my G using my middle finger, and 2nd fret on my B using my ring finger, and then an open A. That's one way I've seen it done. Another way I've seen it is by playing the same notes, but I'm going to start off with my middle finger on 2nd fret on my D, then my 1st finger on 2nd fret on my G, and then my ring finger again 2nd fret on my B. And it's the same chord, it's just the fingering that's different. Another way that I've seen it, and I've actually used this before to help a couple of students who have got pretty big hands compared to most students that I've seen. All of our bodies are different, we're all different shapes and sizes, but sometimes when your hands are big, particularly when your fingers are quite thick, it can be difficult getting these shapes in and get your fingers close together. So a shape that I've used before is similar to the first one that I showed you, but I'm using my middle finger, ring finger and little finger to fret the notes, going down. Doesn't matter to the sound, but using those fingers because they are narrower than the other 3. I've used that before when needed, just to get students going. It might not be the best technique in the world, but my priority was to get a few songs played, get started with the guitar, and then once our chord vocabulary builds up, we can always change it to a different version. But I don't want people getting stuck on not being able to play a chord that stops them being able to play any songs. They get bored, put the guitar down and quit. So that's the last thing that I'm looking for. So there's a few reasons why I might choose to work with different versions. Another one which is quite interesting is I've seen it suggested as playing a bar using your 1st finger to play those 3 notes. So again, starting with the open string, I'm going to use, as it's notated in the books, my index finger to play the 2nd fret notes, but doing it this way, we don't play the open E string because our bars across it. It's a little bit difficult to sort of cant your hand up to avoid fretting the E, because if we can't play the E, we don't want to be playing the F sharp. It needs to be an E or nothing at all. So in that instance, the way it's normally shown is just playing as a 4-note chord. So our open A, and then the 3 fretted notes. And when I'm doing that, my finger naturally tends to damp the open E string because I don't want it playing anywhere. So there's 4 different ways of playing our open A major chord. So when we're going to use that to play our bar chord, we need to choose one of the ways that's going to enable us to, as always, keep our index finger free to be able to make the bar. Now here's your homework. Think back to the 4 ways I've just showed you. 2 of those ways are keeping my index finger free, and 2 of those ways are not. So 2 of them are no good for what we're trying to achieve. See if you can figure out for yourselves which are the 2 that we might be able to use. I'll give you a minute to think. well, not quite a minute because that'd be a boring video, but one of the ways we can do it is by using the method that I use my middle finger, ring and little finger, and played the 5 notes. So starting on open A, we're not playing the low E at all on this chord, because I've still got my index finger free there. The other way that we can do it is a bit of a trick question, because you might not have noticed, was the Barre method. I was using my index finger to do it, so obviously my index finger wasn't free, but there's no rule that says I have to use my index finger. If I was to use my ring finger to do that same bar, it sounds exactly the same, and my index finger is free for the main bar of the chord. So it's kind of a double bar chord doing it that way, which is super cool. It sounds super cool. But have a go at it and we'll see which one feels more easy for you to play. So again, using the method that I've described on the previous videos, we're going to move the chord up a fret at a time and use the bar to create an imaginary note or capo so we can play the rest of the chord. So up a fret to the first fret, so rather than playing an A, I'm going to play an A sharp B flat, and I need the bar to be able to play my first note, which is the A sharp B flat note. Now if I'm using the 3 finger method, it's a little bit of a stretch. I've done some videos on stretching recently. I will put a link to those in the description, because that might be helpful if you want to play it that way, and my chord's going to look like that. Even got a fluff note then, because I don't normally do it that way. So using that method, we'll play from the A string down across all 5 strings, which is fine. The other method of doing it is what I call the double bar method. So my first bar, my main index bar, is going to be there on my first fret, and then the other 3 notes I'm going to play using my ring finger and bar those. And remember, when I'm using the bar to play those notes, I'm only playing across 4 notes, not the full 5, because I'd be hitting the E string, which in that case is a G, and I don't want that note playing, so just 4. And I can move that, whichever way I do it, I can move it up, play it here, excuse me, becomes a C major. I'm not very good at playing it that way around, but playing it with a double bar, C major. That's the way I'd do it. That's not the way you have to do it. As I say, all of our hands are different. I'm not really one to sit here and make excuses. I should be able to play all these things perfectly if I'm showing you, but I do have a little bit of damage on my index finger, which affects my hand position when I'm playing a bar. So it's not ideal, but all of you hopefully won't have that. I've got some scarring there for an operation that means I've just got to play it slightly differently. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. It just goes to show that sometimes everyone can make fluff notes, but do it whichever way you feel most comfortable with. I'm used to playing, I first off started learning power chords, so the double bar idea is something I learned quite early on in my guitar journey, so I've always been quite comfortable doing that, playing power chords all over the place. So to me that's quite easy. It may or may not be to you, but in the end of the day it's just a case of building strength up and your stamina to be able to do them. So if we add these chords up together that we've learnt in the last few lessons, there is some crossover, so they're not all brand new chords, but in terms of bar chords for you, if you're just learning this now, they are brand new chords. And so for you, we started off with the E minor, so you can play that in 12 different keys, so that's 12 chords. In the E major, the second lesson that we did, we can do that in 12 different keys, so that's 24 chords. and it works the same for the A minor and the A major. So there's 12 in each different key, so there's 48 chords in total, bar chords, that we've now learned that we can use to our advantage. They are not the only bar chords, there are other ones, so don't, some people say, well, that's not all the chords. No, it's not, but I just wanted to get you going with these most basic ones. These are the most common ones in my experience. So, and it gets you into the concept of playing bar chords, movable chords that we can play anywhere on the neck, whereas the root chords, they can't be moved. They have to be played in position unless you're using a capo. Otherwise, they won't sound right. They'll sound it's never going to sound right. So that's bar chords for you. Hopefully, it's been useful. I may develop these and show some more bar chords later on because there are more. But these are the main, major, and minor ones, using two different positions. And the benefit, as I've said before, as well as having more chords in your vocabulary of chords, it will help you to learn the note names if you're not already familiar, certainly on your E string, your A string, and that'll be really useful for you going forward for your musical knowledge. So whilst the stretching and stamina you might not enjoy, hopefully the content and the ability to play more chords you will enjoy.